Wow, what a day! With the resurgent coronavirus, the upcoming election, and the lack of stimulus, the market got a large dose of reality on Wednesday. We're now on pace for the worst weekly drop in the Dow since March. Statistically, Wednesday is the best day of the year for the S&P 500. But just as interesting, Thursday is the date when the Great Depression started in 1929. And it seems that all the recent talk about another lockdown finally triggered more than a few snowflakes, as Wednesday's price action felt like widespread liquidation. Everything was being sold. Stocks, bonds, commodities, and crypto were all dumped. So here is the big question. How much lower can the stock market go? Well, let's take a look. Once again, let's start out by looking at the Volatility Index and using stockcharts.com. The symbol is $VIX, and we're looking at the 2-year weekly chart on the VIX, and we talked about this. The bottom was here above 20, but we've been riding above that 25 level for some time. And looking at the MACD down here, we knew that there was a chance that the VIX wanted to head up. It was looking for any excuse to head on up. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I told you so, but I told you so. Let's go to our charts. And I'm interrupting my regularly scheduled series simply because with the action on Wednesday, a lot of people are going to be wondering what's going to be happening here in the near future. So I'll sideline the existing videos and we'll get back to those perhaps next week or so. Now, as you can see, on Wednesday, the S&P or the spiders, SPY closed at 326.66. As you can see here, from the 20 EMA, it blew right through the 50 EMA and then down here. So how much further do we have to go? Well, let's go down and see if we can get an idea. Volume, that was pretty good volume here, near the range of volume on the initial days of that last plunge we had. That was in, say, September. Moving here into the MACD, you can see that the fast line wanted to head on down, and we've been certainly looking at the weekly chart, and that's been the indication as well. Also, we looked at the move there, the downward slope on the MAC, and I think we've got downward slopes in some of the other oscillators. We'll get to those in a second. But the fast line came on through, headed on down, and the slow line is heading on down too, but we are near that zero line, so there's still a little bit of strength left in that. But I would look at this move from here to here, perhaps this move from there to there as examples of how far we're going to go. So looking at here, we might come down to this point. We might go a little bit further. Not exactly sure, but definitely there's a lot of separation between the fast and the slow line at that point there, which means that even if we go sideways, there's still going to be some volatility. But I think we're going to be heading down, and that isn't necessarily going to mean tomorrow, Friday, or even next week. I think the overall trend is going to be down here before we start to bottom and base. Into the histogram, you can see that things have been sliding for a while. I think that may continue. Into the price rate of change, no sign of any bottom yet. We'll need a little bit of sawtoothing, as we saw right here, before we get to a bottom. Moving on down into the RSI, the relative strength, it's pretty weak. We fell all the way down here, and we're heading to that oversold territory. We're not quite there yet, but it's very possible we can get there. Now, one of my favorite oscillators in watching for basing and bottoming is going to be the stochastics. Oftentimes, you can get a pretty good idea, such as here, maybe even here, of how that bottom or basing is going to be. But this was a little rough. We don't know what it's going to be, but certainly you got to wait for a fast line to hit bottom, and you got to wait for that slow line to come in And then you can see the sawtoothing there at the bottom. This is a little bit jagged here, but still the same concept. So I think we're going to need the slow line to come on down here. We're going to need to do a little bit of sawtoothing, and that can take a little while. That could take perhaps a week or more. We'll just have to wait and see. Now it's going to have some up days and some down days, so just pay attention. Same thing in the Williams. Once you get to a bottom, you're going to have some sawtoothing down here, and such as down here, and even here, when you get a bottoming in this area, it's all the same. You get the sawtoothing up and down, and then you can start to see the bottom start to create and base, and you start getting some up movements, say, in higher lows. Now, back up to the price chart. We've been waiting for a contraction, a sell-off for some time, and most of you should be ready with your portfolios. We've talked about it, and you've been warned many, many, many times. So, for those of you that don't have any available cash, just sit back and watch it. And those of you with some cash that may want to take this opportunity, wait, it's not quite time yet. You might not get the absolute best price, but just wait for things to evolve. You got to wait for a bottom and basing pattern like this. In this area here, you had 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 different days of catching something near the bottom. So I would imagine that we're going to be somewhat like this, at least for now. It might get worse, but we'll know. But be patient. Those bottoms, they take a few days and you have multiple chances. So no need to be in a hurry. And for today, that's ChewDog Charts. Thank you.